No alarms had ever sounded inside the Eternal Dominion. Not once in 12,000 years. That was why the sudden red glow flooding the Hall of Command froze every alien in place. Massive crystal displays flickered to life, each one screaming the same impossible truth. Unknown vessels detected inside restricted Imperial space. High Chancellor Vila did not move. His tall obsidian-scaled body stood perfectly still as his 6 golden eyes fixed on the central screen. He had ruled the Dominion longer than most stars had burned. He had erased civilizations without emotion. Yet what he saw now disturbed him deeply. 3 small ships drifted calmly beyond the veil. The veil was not a wall. It was a layered web of quantum sensors, gravity traps, and reality-shearing weapons that erased intruders before they even knew they were detected. No ship crossed it. Ever. And yet, 3 had. "They are already past the inner threshold," whispered war strategist Korath, his voice tight with disbelief. "Our systems did not stop them." Vila's claws curled slightly. "Show me." The image zoomed in. The ships were crude. Uneven metal hulls. Visible weld marks. Engines that burned chemical fire instead of clean energy. No elegant curves. No imperial design. Several council members hissed in disgust. "Primitive junk," said Admiral Sithra. "One cruiser could vaporize them." Vila remained silent. His gaze sharpened. "Scan for life." A sensor officer hesitated. Then swallowed. Life signs confirmed. Approximately 14,600 individuals across all vessels. The chamber erupted. "That is impossible. No species is that foolish. Send the execution fleet." Vila raised one claw. Silence returned instantly. "Unknown species?" he asked. "Yes, Chancellor. Carbon-based. Oxygen-breathing. Fragile skeletal structure. Short lifespans." Vila leaned forward slightly. 14,000 fragile beings, traveling in ships that should not survive this region of space, crossing defenses that had erased gods. They were either the most foolish species ever born, or something far more dangerous. "Open a channel," Vila ordered. Far away, aboard the human colony ship Aurora's Reach, Captain Elena Ward felt the weight of extinction pressing down on her chest. The bridge was quiet. Too quiet. Her crew watched the stars with hollow eyes, knowing what waited just beyond the dark. The navigation failure had happened hours ago. The hyperspace jump had torn them out of known charts and thrown them into the heart of something ancient and hostile. Now the sensors screamed with alien signatures. Hundreds of them. Children slept below decks. Families clung together. Humanity's last gamble drifted helplessly in enemy space. "Transmission incoming," said Comms Officer Malik. Elena closed her eyes for half a second. Then nodded. "Put it through." The screen filled with a towering alien face, scales like black stone, eyes glowing gold with cold authority. "Unidentified vessels," the alien voice echoed. "You have violated Dominion law. This space is forbidden. You will power down immediately. Your species will be erased." No threats. No anger. Just certainty. Elena felt fear stab through her, but she crushed it. She stood. "I am Captain Elena Ward of the Human Colony Fleet," she said clearly. "We entered your space by accident. Our navigation failed. We are not invaders." The alien stared at her, unblinking. "There are no accidents," it replied. "You have 12 cycles. Prepare for termination." The channel cut. Several crew members broke down. One fell to his knees. 12 cycles. 12 hours. Elena looked around the bridge. At people who had survived a dying Earth. Who had crossed light years with hope in their hearts. She made her decision. "Open a channel," she said. The crew stared at her. "Captain." "Now." The alien face returned, clearly displeased. "You speak again," it asked. "Why?" Elena straightened her shoulders. "I request a diplomatic audience with your rulers." The silence that followed felt heavy enough to crush worlds. "You request a meeting," the alien repeated. "Yes," Elena said. "Not mercy. Not surrender. A meeting." The alien's eyes flicked away, as if receiving unseen orders. "Wait." The screen went dark. Vila slowly leaned back on his throne. "They did not beg," he said quietly. "They should be destroyed," Admiral Sithra snapped. "Their weakness offends the Dominion." Vila ignored her. "A species facing extinction," he murmured, "that chooses words instead of weapons." His eyes gleamed with something ancient. "Bring their leaders to the Obsidian Citadel," he commanded. "I wish to see them before they die." None of the council realized it yet. But for the first time in 12,000 years, the Dominion felt something dangerously new. Curiosity. The Dominion transport ship did not glide like a ship. It moved like a verdict. Captain Elena Ward sat strapped into a narrow seat that felt carved for a creature twice her size. Cold restraints hugged her wrists, not tight enough to hurt, but tight enough to remind her she was not a guest. Across from her sat two humans she had chosen carefully, people who could keep their minds sharp even when fear tried to drown them. Dr. Jonas Mirek, a calm-faced medical officer with silver hair and tired, kind eyes. He had spent his life keeping people alive with almost nothing. And Chief Engineer Sanar Rios, young, restless, brilliant, her fingers always moving like she was building invisible machines in the air. Outside the small viewing slit, the stars shifted as the transport entered the deepest part of the Dominion. Elena had seen alien fleets on the sensor screen before the transmission ended. They were not ships. They were monuments, angular shadows the size of cities, moving with silent confidence. One of them could have crushed Aurora's reach just by drifting too close. "They could erase us any second," Sanar whispered, voice barely steady. "We're flying inside the mouth of a god." "We are still alive," Jonas replied gently. "That means they want something." Elena kept her eyes forward. "They want to understand us before they kill us," she said. "So we make understanding expensive." Sanar swallowed. "Captain, do you actually have a plan?" Elena didn't answer right away, because the truth was complicated. She had a plan, yes, but it was not one move. It was a chain. A trap built from human habits, curiosity, stubbornness, and the refusal to die quietly. Her hand brushed the small patch on her sleeve, the old Earth emblem, faded from years in space. It reminded her of the people below decks. 14,000 lives. 14,000 reasons to speak like a blade. The transport began to slow. The Obsidian Citadel appeared ahead. It was not a station. It was not a moon. It was a carved corpse of a moon, hollowed out and shaped into a fortress that looked like a black crown floating in space. Towers rose like sharpened teeth. Veins of faint red energy ran through the stone as if the entire structure had a pulse. Sanar's breathing quickened. "That's not built. That's cut. Like they carved it with a knife the size of a planet." Jonas exhaled slowly. They wanted their power to be visible. Fear is part of their architecture. Elena watched the citadel grow larger until it filled the window slit. "You both remember what we're here to do," she said quietly. "We don't insult them. We don't beg. We don't threaten. We offer value. We show them that killing us will cost them something they didn't know they wanted." "And what is that?" Sanar asked. Elena's eyes stayed hard. "A future they can't predict." The transport docked with a heavy thud. The door slid open. Dominion guards waited, tall, armored creatures with dark scales, glowing lines on their suits, and weapons that hummed like angry bees. Their helmets had no faceplates, only narrow slits where golden eyes watched without blinking. No one spoke. One guard raised a weapon and pointed down the corridor. Elena stood first. Jonas and Sanar followed. The hallway was wide enough for a parade of giants. The walls were black stone polished to a mirror shine, reflecting their small human shapes as if the citadel itself was studying them. They walked. And as they walked, Elena saw the message. Glass display cases lined the corridor, each holding preserved beings, different species, different shapes, frozen in the last moment of fear. Some had wings. Some had too many limbs. Some had skin like coral or fur like snow. Every single one looked defeated. Sanaa's voice trembled. They keep them like trophies. Jonas looked away, jaw tight. To remind visitors what happens when you disappoint them. Elena forced herself to keep walking without slowing. She refused to give the guards the satisfaction of seeing her flinch. At the end of the corridor stood doors taller than a human house. Symbols glowed across them like burning scars. When they opened, the sound was like stone grinding against bone. The chamber beyond swallowed the humans in shadow. A massive hall spread out, so large Elena couldn't see the far walls. At its center stood a raised platform like a cliff, and on it sat the rulers of the Dominion, the Galactic rulers, the Supreme Conclave. 7 thrones. 7 beings shaped by centuries of command. In the middle sat High Chancellor Vila, his obsidian scales catching faint light like wet rock. His eyes were gold, cold, and ancient. Around him sat others, some slimmer, some broader, one with pale grey skin and sharp ridges, another with a crown-like set of bone horns. Every one of them radiated the same thing. Not anger. Not hatred. A belief that the universe belonged to them by natural law. The guards pushed the humans forward until they stood at the base of the platform, forced to look up. Vila's voice rolled through the chamber, amplified without machines. Name your kind. Elena stepped forward. Humans, she said. From Earth. A murmur moved through the conclave like wind through dead leaves. Earth, repeated one ruler with pale skin, his voice sharp. We have no record of it. It is far from here, Elena said. One planet. One sun. One home that failed us. Vila leaned slightly forward. Explain why you crossed the veil. Elena inhaled. This was the moment. We were refugees, she said. Earth is dying. Our people fought wars over what little remained. We launched colony fleets to save anyone we could. A navigation failure pulled us here by accident. We did not come to challenge you. A horned ruler made a sound like laughter. And you expect us to believe that? You expect mercy. Elena didn't blink. I expect nothing. But I request something. The hall grew still. What do you request? Vila asked. A chance, Elena said, voice steady, to prove we are not a threat, and that killing us would be a mistake. Another ruler, thin, dark-eyed, tilted his head. A mistake. You are fragile. Your ships are primitive. Your lives are short. You stand in the heart of an empire that can erase stars. You are nothing. Elena felt her fear press harder, like a hand around her throat. She pushed through it. We are small, she said. We are weak compared to you. But we are not nothing. The horned ruler leaned forward. Why not? Jonas took a half-step forward, surprising Elena. His voice was quiet, but it carried. Because humans are dangerous in one way you don't measure, he said. Vila's eyes narrowed. Speak. Jonas lifted his hands slightly, showing his empty palms. We adapt, he said. We get hurt, and we learn. We lose, and we change. We survive environments that should kill us. Cold, heat, pressure, radiation, hunger. We don't have strong bodies. We don't have long lives. So we build. Sanaa swallowed, then stepped forward too. And when we don't understand something, she added, we tear it apart until we do. A ripple of irritation moved through the conclave. You imply threat, Admiral Sithra said from her throne, voice slicing. You trespass, then boast. Elena raised her chin. Not a boast. A warning, about yourselves. That made several rulers shift. Vila's voice dropped lower. Explain. Elena's heart pounded, but she kept her tone calm, like she was speaking to a storm. Your empire has not been challenged in 12,000 years, she said. That means you stopped learning how to face the unknown. You built walls so high you forgot why you needed them. And then, without meaning to, we crossed your veil. The chamber tensed. Guards tightened their grip on weapons. Elena continued anyway. Your systems didn't stop us, she said. Not because we are strong, but because your perfection has blind spots. Vila stared at her for a long moment. Our systems are flawless. Sonar spoke before Elena could stop her. Flawless systems fail when the problem is new. That was the moment Elena saw it. A flicker. Not anger. Interest. Vila's eyes glittered slightly. How did you cross the veil? Elena spread her hands. We don't fully know, she admitted. Our navigation broke mid-jump. We were thrown into normal space. We thought we were dead. But we arrived intact. Vila's gaze sharpened. Show us your drive design. Elena's stomach tightened. That was the trap opening. The Dominion wanted knowledge. And humans had knowledge, but not the kind the Dominion expected. We can, Elena said carefully. But only if our people remain alive. The conclave erupted in cold murmurs. You bargain in the shadow of death, Sithra hissed. Elena held her ground. Yes, she said. Because life is the only thing we have left to bargain with. Vila raised a claw. Silence returned. He studied Elena like a puzzle. You are bold, he said. Or foolish. Elena met his gaze. On Earth, she said, those two things are often the same. For the first time, something like amusement touched the air, so faint it might have been imagined. Vila leaned back into his throne. Very well, he said. Your fleet will not be destroyed, yet. You will provide a demonstration of how your ships crossed the veil. If you lie, you will all be erased. Elena's breath caught. Not destroyed yet meant time. Time meant options. Vila's eyes narrowed again. You will remain inside the citadel under guard. No contact with your ships unless approved. Elena nodded slowly. Agreed. Sithra's voice was poison. Chancellor, this is weakness. Vila did not even look at her. It is curiosity, he said. And curiosity built this empire. Elena kept her face calm, but inside, a spark ignited. The Dominion thought curiosity belonged to them. They had no idea what human curiosity could become when cornered. The guards stepped forward. The humans were led away into the depths of the citadel. And behind them, in the hall of command, 7 rulers watched their small figures disappear, wondering what kind of species walked into a forbidden empire and tried to bargain with its gods. None of them understood the real danger yet. Humans did not come to conquer. Humans came to survive. And survival, to a human, was a form of war. The chamber they were taken to was not a prison. That alone unsettled Elena more than chains would have. The room was wide, clean, and perfectly symmetrical. Smooth black stone curved into walls without seams. Light came from no visible source, yet everything was illuminated evenly, without shadow. The door closed behind them without a sound. Sonar turned slowly in place. This isn't containment, she whispered. This is observation. Jonas nodded. They don't fear us. They're studying us. Elena sat on the edge of the low stone bench that rose from the floor. Her hands trembled now that no one was watching closely. She clenched them into fists until the shaking stopped. We've bought time, she said. But not safety. A soft hum filled the air. A section of the wall shifted, flowing like liquid stone, and High Chancellor Vila entered alone. No guards. No weapons visible. That worried Elena more than an army. You will demonstrate your drive, Vila said. No greeting. No threat. Explain how it functions. Sonar blinked. Here. Vila gestured, and a holographic field bloomed in the center of the room, an empty space waiting to be filled. You will speak, he said. We will simulate. Sonar swallowed hard, then stepped forward. Her fear faded, replaced by something familiar. Focus. Our drive isn't elegant, she said. It wasn't designed to break laws. It was designed to survive mistakes. Vila's eyes narrowed slightly. Explain. Sonar took a breath. Human hyperspace engines don't rely on perfect calculations. They assume failure. That sentence alone made Vila still. Our early experiments killed crews, she continued. Tore ships apart. So instead of trying to force stability, we built systems that react when things go wrong. She began sketching shapes in the air. The hologram responded, forming crude geometric structures. Our drive constantly monitors reality stress. When something unexpected happens, it doesn't fight it. It bends. Vila watched intently. You allow instability, he asked. Jonas spoke softly. We expect it. Sonar nodded. The drive isn't a straight line. It's elastic. When the jump failed, instead of collapsing, it folded around the error and spat us out somewhere safe. Vila's eyes flickered. Your system surrendered control, he said slowly. That is inefficient. Elena met his gaze. It's alive, she said. Not conscious, but adaptive. Vila turned back to the hologram. Simulate veil contact, he ordered. The room responded. Dominion defenses appeared, layers of energy, gravity distortions, detection nets so complex they made Sonar's head ache just looking at them. Vila added, simulate your drive failure. Sonar's hands shook slightly as she nodded. The hologram showed a human ship entering hyperspace. The jump destabilized. Energy spikes flared. Then something unexpected happened. The ship bent. Not physically, conceptually. Its trajectory warped, slipping between detection layers like water finding cracks in stone. The veil did not detect an attack because there was none. The ship was not forcing entry. It was falling through. The simulation ended. Silence filled the room. Vila stared at the empty space for a long time. This violates Dominion principles, he said finally. Jonas allowed himself a small, sad smile. So did fire, once. Vila turned sharply. Your technology is crude. Inefficient. Dangerous. Yes, Elena said. That's why it works. Vila's gaze snapped to her. You built systems that function during failure, he said. You rely on chaos. We live in it, Elena replied. Vila stepped closer. For the first time, Elena noticed fine scars across his scales, old damage, perfectly healed. Your species evolved on an unstable world, he said. Conflict. Climate. Scarcity. Yes. You should have destroyed yourselves. We almost did, Elena said quietly. Vila studied her face, as if searching for deception. You crossed the veil because your systems are careless, he said. Resilient, Sonar corrected. Vila paused. Those are not the same. They are to us. The wall shifted again. This time, other rulers entered. Admiral Sithra. The pale-skinned ruler. The horned one. They had been watching. Sithra's eyes burned. This is unacceptable, she snapped. Their presence exposes weaknesses in our defenses. They did not exploit them, Vila said. They revealed them, Sithra replied. That is worse. Vila turned to Elena. If we allow your fleet to live, he said, others may learn of this weakness. Elena nodded. Eventually. Sithra leaned forward. Then you must be erased. Jonas stepped forward suddenly. Or recruited. All eyes turned to him. You fear what you don't control, Jonas said calmly. We understand that fear. But you also fear stagnation. You haven't faced something truly new in thousands of years. Sithra snarled. You presume too much. Jonas met her gaze. You built an empire so perfect it forgot how to fail. Humans remember. The pale ruler tilted his head. What do you propose? Elena felt the moment open like a door. Let us stay, she said. Not as citizens. Not as equals. As observers. Learners. Test cases. Sithra laughed coldly. You would live under our rule. Yes, Elena said. Because humans learn fastest when surrounded by things that can kill them. Vila's eyes glinted. And what do we gain? He asked. Elena didn't hesitate. Adaptation, she said. A way to face the unknown when your perfection fails. Silence. Then Vila did something no ruler had done in centuries. He hesitated. The Dominion does not change, Sithra said sharply. Vila's voice was low. Every empire that believed that, fell. He turned to Elena. If we allow your people to live, he said, you will belong to us. Elena nodded. We already belong to extinction. This is an improvement. Vila raised one claw. The human fleet will be spared, he declared. For now. They will be settled in a controlled system. Studied. Integrated. Sithra's eyes burned with fury. You risk everything, she said. Vila's gaze was calm. No. I prepare for what comes next. The decision echoed through the citadel. Humans would live. But not as free beings. Not yet. As the guards escorted them back, Sanar leaned close to Elena. Captain, she whispered, they think they've put us in a cage. Elena's lips curved into the faintest smile. Good, she whispered back. We're very good at breaking out. Far away, the human fleet received the signal. They would not die today. And across the Dominion, ancient systems began recalculating, trying to account for something they had never planned for before. Human failure. Human creativity. Human survival. The system the Dominion assigned to the humans was meant to be a cage. It was a quiet star with 2 barren planets and 1 thin atmosphere world barely capable of supporting life. The Dominion called it Controlled Habitat Theta 9. No hyperspace lanes passed nearby. No trade routes. No reason for anyone to visit. Perfect containment. From the Dominion's point of view, the humans would survive, but remain small, watched, limited, and harmless. From the human point of view, it was a miracle. When the colony ships were escorted into orbit and the execution fleets turned away, thousands of people cried openly. Some laughed. Some collapsed to the floor in relief. Children asked why the scary ships were leaving. Captain Elena Ward stood on the bridge of Aurora's Reach, hands shaking as she watched the alien symbols fade from the main screen. We're alive, she whispered. We're actually alive. But survival had never been the human end goal. It was only the beginning. The first months were chaos. The planet, later named Havenfall by the colonists, was harsh. Gravity was heavier than Earth's. The soil was stubborn and metallic. Storms swept across the plains without warning. Dominion observers watched everything. Silent sensor towers orbited above the planet. Drones glided through human settlements like patient insects. Every transmission was monitored. Every experiment logged. The Dominion expected fear. Instead, they saw construction. Humans tore apart their ships, not to escape, but to build. Hull plates became shelters. Engine components became power grids. Broken systems became tools. Sanar Rios led engineering teams day and night. She slept 4 hours at a time, lived on recycled coffee, and smiled like someone who had finally been given a worthy problem. They think scarcity limits us, she said to her team. It doesn't. It focuses us. Human technology evolved fast, not upward, but sideways. They couldn't outgun the Dominion. So they didn't try. They adapted. They learned Havenfall storms and built flexible structures that bent instead of broke. They studied the metallic soil and found it conducted energy unusually well. They turned that into localized power networks the Dominion sensors barely registered because they were messy, inefficient, human. Dominion analysts were confused. These structures violate optimization models, one reported. Vila watched the feeds in silence. They are not building cities, Admiral Sithra said with disgust. They are improvising. They are surviving, Vila replied. That is all they will ever do, Sithra snapped. Vila did not answer. The real change began with medicine. Dr. Jonas Mirek noticed something strange in the first year. Havenfall's radiation storms caused microdamage to human cells. Damaged Dominion medical models said would accumulate and kill colonists within decades. Jonas didn't argue with the models. He ignored them. Human medicine had never been about perfection. It was about management. Painkillers. Immune boosters. Redundancy. He worked with limited supplies, altered old Earth treatments, introduced controlled stress to immune systems. The result shocked even him. Humans adapted. Children born on Havenfall showed higher resistance to radiation. Stronger bone density. Faster healing. The Dominion noticed. This is impossible, one biologist reported. They are evolving too quickly. Vila studied the data. They are not evolving, he said slowly. They are responding. The first crack in Dominion certainty came 3 years later. A sensor tower failed. No explosion. No sabotage. It simply stopped transmitting. Dominion engineers replaced it. 2 weeks later, another failed. Then another. Sithra stormed into the command chamber. They are interfering with our systems. Vila watched the data streams. No direct interference detected. That means they found a way around detection, Sithra hissed. Vila leaned forward. Or they are not targeting us at all. On Havenfall, Sanar smiled as her team watched a prototype environmental regulator hum to life. It absorbs excess radiation, she explained. Bleeds it into the ground. A technician frowned. Won't that mess with Dominion sensors? Sanar shrugged. Probably. They didn't care. They were just solving problems. That was the danger the Dominion still didn't understand. Humans did not need permission to change reality. The invitation came unexpectedly. High Chancellor Vila requested Captain Elena Ward's presence at the Obsidian Citadel. Sithra objected violently. They've been here 5 years. They've already disrupted our systems. That is precisely why, Vila replied. Elena returned to the Citadel older, stronger, and far less afraid. She stood before the conclave again, this time without chains. You have changed, Vila observed. Yes, Elena said. So have you. You're watching us more closely. Sithra's voice was sharp. Your people are interfering with Dominion infrastructure. Elena shook her head. No. We're interfering with our environment. Your systems just weren't designed to coexist with change. The horned ruler leaned forward. You destabilize control. Elena met his gaze. Control is fragile. Sithra rose from her throne. You were meant to remain small. Elena's voice was calm. We don't know how. Silence filled the chamber. Vila studied Elena for a long time. You are not conquering, he said. You are spreading. Elena nodded. That's what life does. Vila's eyes gleamed with something dangerous. And if other species learn from you? Elena didn't hesitate. They already are. That was the moment realization struck the conclave. Human traders had begun sharing techniques with minor species. Human engineers helped alien outcasts fix broken machines. Human doctors treated Dominion labor castes the Empire had long considered expendable. Change was leaking. Sithra's voice trembled with rage. They are a contagion. Vila stood. Or a cure, he said. The chamber erupted. Vila raised his voice. The Dominion faces threats beyond our borders. Unknown regions. Unmapped anomalies. Forces we do not yet understand. He looked at Elena. You have survived extinction. You have adapted inside a cage. You have changed us without firing a weapon. He paused. I will propose something unprecedented. Sithra hissed. You cannot. Vila ignored her. The humans will not remain contained, he declared. They will be partners in exploration. Elena felt her heart race. Joint missions, Vila continued. Human adaptability combined with Dominion power. Sithra's eyes burned. This will weaken us. Vila's gaze was iron. No. It will prepare us. Elena spoke carefully. You're asking us to walk into the unknown, for you. Vila nodded. Yes. Elena smiled, not kindly, but honestly. Good, she said. That's where we're strongest. As she left the citadel, Elena knew the truth. The Dominion had not been invaded. It had been introduced to humanity, and the galaxy would never be stable again. The anomaly appeared without warning. At the edge of Dominion space, beyond mapped stars and stable physics, something began to eat reality. Dominion long-range sensors failed first. Not exploded. Not jammed. They simply returned nothing, as if the space ahead had decided it no longer needed to exist. Ships sent to investigate vanished without distress calls. No debris. No radiation. Just absence. The Dominion had faced wars. Rebellions. Cosmic storms. It had never faced nothing. High Chancellor Vila stood before a projection of the expanding void. His 6 eyes reflected distortion where stars should have been. This region defies containment, reported a strategist. Energy collapses. Causality fractures. Our weapons cannot lock on. Admiral Sithra folded her arms. Then we seal the border. Withdraw. Vila remained silent. Sealing borders had worked before. Always. But this time, the nothingness kept spreading. It consumed a Dominion outpost in silence. Then a trade corridor. Then a populated system. Trillions of lives were suddenly unreachable. Panic rippled through the Empire. For the first time in its history, the Dominion did not know how to respond. Vila turned slowly. Summon the humans. The joint task force assembled near the anomaly, Dominion dreadnoughts bristling with weapons, human ships patched together with years of improvisation. The contrast was stark. Sithra stared at the human fleet with open disdain. These vessels are an insult beside our warships. Elena Ward stood on the bridge of Aurora's Reach, older now, her hair streaked with grey. She studied the void ahead, a region where stars bent and light died. Don't aim at it, she said quietly. Sithra snapped. You presume command. Elena didn't look away from the view. No. Experience. Vila watched her carefully. Explain. Elena gestured to the void. That's not an enemy. It's a failure. Something broke at a level your science never planned for. Sanar's voice came through the channel. It's like a system crash. The universe hitting an error state. Dominion scientists bristled. Reality does not crash. Jonas replied calmly. Everything does, eventually. The Dominion launched probes. They vanished. Weapons fired. The energy beams folded and disappeared. Sithra's voice was sharp. Your advice is meaningless. Elena inhaled slowly. When human systems fail, she said, we don't fight the failure. We build around it. Vila's eyes narrowed. What do you propose? Elena turned to him fully. We enter it. The silence was absolute. Sithra laughed, sharp and cruel. You wish to die first. Elena shook her head. We wish to understand it. Sanar's image appeared beside Elena's. Our drives don't require stable space. They react. If anything can survive inside that anomaly, it's us. Vila studied the void again. Proceed, he said. Sithra stared at him. You gamble the Empire on them. Vila's voice was calm. No. I trust what the Empire lacks. 3 human ships entered the anomaly. Reality twisted. Inside, time fractured. Sensors screamed nonsense. Hulls groaned as physics bent and rewrote itself moment by moment. Human systems responded, not with precision, but with flexibility. Power rerouted. Structures bent. Software rewrote itself on the fly. Inside the anomaly, Sanar laughed, a wild, terrified sound. It's not empty, she said. It's unfinished. They found it. A collapsing pocket of spacetime, born from ancient Dominion experiments buried and forgotten. Perfection had cracked reality, and never bothered to check. Humans did not try to seal it. They stabilized it. Using adaptable drives, chaotic feedback loops, and brute force creativity, they gave the anomaly something it lacked. Options. The void slowed, then stopped growing. Outside, Dominion sensors flickered back to life. Silence fell across the fleet. They had expected conquest. They witnessed repair. The conclave reconvened days later. Reports flooded in. The anomaly was contained. Systems restored. Lost regions reconnecting. Cythera stood rigid. They succeeded because they ignore rules. Vila nodded. Yes. He turned to Elena. Your species does not dominate. You adapt. You do not seek control. You seek continuity. Elena folded her hands. We just don't like endings. Vila stood. For 12,000 years, he declared, the Dominion believed strength was permanence. We were wrong. The chamber listened. Strength is the ability to change without breaking. He faced Elena. Humans are no longer observers, he said. They are allies. A ripple of shock moved through the conclave. Cythera's voice was quiet, dangerous. You give them power. Vila's gaze was steady. They already have it. We simply failed to recognize it. Elena exhaled slowly. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. It had earned a place in it. Years later, children on Havenfall learned stories not just of Earth, but of the day humans entered a forbidden empire and taught it how to survive the unknown. Across the stars, civilizations whispered a new truth. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the oldest. They were not the most advanced. But when the universe broke, humans were the ones who knew how to fix it. And that was why the galaxy would never underestimate them again.